Hi, Tracy here with the Idea Closet, and I have another silhouette tutorial for you. As I've been teaching classes, I've decided that maybe I need to do some tutorials and go back to the very basic in the beginning. So today I'm going to talk to you about the selection tool and some of the draw tools. If you come up here, this arrow right here is called a selection arrow or a selection tool, and it's what you use to point out the object that you're going to use. Now down here are some of our draw tools, and for today we're just going to do the rectangle. I'm going to click on the rectangle and I'm just going to draw a very basic shape. Click and drag to make that shape. And we'll talk more about the draw tools in another video. Now, if I wanted to change this shape, change the size of it, or rotate it, I would need to select it in order for it to take on those changes. So what I would do is make sure that my arrow or my arrow selection key is chosen. Click on it, and then you get this selection box around it. Sometimes it's called a bounding box. It's really a selection box. And then you can come over here and you can do all of these different tools with it. So we're just going to hit the scale button and resize it. So I want a 4x6 rectangle and click apply. Now if I had not chosen that, let's click off of it. If I had not chosen that and come over and tried to change the size, let's go 3x4 this time and hit apply, nothing happens. The reason is, and this is where a lot of my students get really confused, is when you're working with a shape, it has to be selected, and the way to select it is to make sure that your arrow selection tool is turned on and click on it. So let me kind of explain that to you in a silly way. I have a house full of teenagers. If I were to walk into the room and my teenagers were sitting there and I was to say, I want the house cleaned, they'd kind of all look at me, roll their eyes, and do absolutely nothing because I hadn't said to any of them what I wanted them to do. If I were to walk into that same room and say, Rachel, I want you to do the dishes, Tyson, I want you to vacuum, Jennifer, I want you to take out the garbage, then each of them has been selected and told a specific thing to do. Silhouette Studio is the same way. You have to select the shapes that you're working with before you can alter them in any way. Otherwise, the software doesn't know which shape you're talking about that you want to change. I hope that makes sense. The other thing that I wanted to show with this selection tool is how to set your preferences. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Notice that my selection box is around it. Hit delete. So if I come up here to File and come all the way down to my preferences, click on that, I'm going to come to Tool Selection. It's the second from the bottom. And after creating a shape, right now I have Choose Select. And after drawing freehand, I have Choose Select. So we're going to keep it that way for a minute and select OK. What that means is, once again, if I come up and draw a rectangle and click off of it, I automatically go to the selection tool. So I can select it. Or if I want to draw another rectangle or even a circle, I would have to come down here and select the tool before I drew something else again. Every time that I want to draw, I'm going to have to come over and pick up that drawing tool. That's with the preferences set that way. I'm going to select all of those by drawing that selection rectangle. It's the one with the perforations around it. It selects all three and hit delete. Now, if I come up to File again, Preferences, Tool Selection, I can change those, and I can come up to, after creating a shape, to continue drawing shapes, and after drawing freehand, continue drawing freehand. You can also use these for your eraser and your knife tool, but for right now we're just talking about the shapes. So I have those set. I'm going to hit OK. And now what that does is, when I hit my rectangle tool to draw it, I'm going to draw a rectangle. My selection tool, selection arrow, is not automatically selected. It keeps it on that rectangle. So I can continue to draw lots and lots of rectangles. The problem is now if I want to select one and I come up and click on it, guess what? I'm drawing another rectangle. I have to come up and get the selection tool to select that particular rectangle and move it around or do whatever I want with it. So those are the two differences in those preference settings. Let me go and show you one more time. File, Preference, Tool Selection. And then you can choose whichever one that you want. Sometimes if you're designing something, this that I have set is a lot easier to do. The Continue Drawing Shapes and the Continue Drawing Freehand. If mostly you just import objects or shapes and change them a little bit, then I would come back up and do the Choose Select under both of those and click OK. And then once again, once you draw a rectangle or a shape, you automatically have your selection arrow available. So go ahead and play around with those and find out which setting you are the most comfortable with, and just play and make some objects. Thank you.